to happen? When did you kind of meet him? When did that kind of initial connection, I guess a few years back, take place?
Well, I got to know Coach Frost when he was at Oregon. I'm from Oregon.
Oh, okay. So that's where it actually started. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm originally from the state of Oregon. I was coaching at Portland State when he was coaching at Oregon. But a lot of my high school coaches, and my dad was one of the high school coaches in the state, they got to be around the program, and that helped develop a relationship, just, kind of mutual friends. And we just stayed in touch. In fact, the first time he was head coach here, I came out each year to visit and talk football and kind of study and learn while he was here.
So you were generally kind of aware of UCF. You've been here, you visited, you've been through the facilities, and so you kind of knew a little bit what you were getting into when he gave you the call. Got
to be a fan. Watching the games from afar, got to see what the staff put together and what they were able to do the last time, and it was fun to watch, obviously.
Yeah. So what was that phone call like? He, like you said, he wasn't expecting necessarily to get a head coaching job at this point in time, but he did. He got the job. You were one of his. I assume it looks like you were one of the first calls that he made. So what was kind of that conversation like, and how excited were you to jump on board and come down from Boise?
Yeah, that's a good question. It was Coach Frost and I mean, we talked probably at least, if not every week, every other week for the last few years, just generally talking about football. Like, hey, did you see this game? Did you watch that play? And he would track what I was doing. Obviously, I was staying in touch with him. If it was a recruiting trip out in the area, I'd go and see him. But, yeah, I can't really remember, even though it wasn't that long ago, what exactly. But he called me and told me that, he was going back to UCF and asked if I would join him. It fired me up to get the opportunity.
I mean, how excited are you for the opportunity? I know you've been an OC at other levels before, but to be the OC of a Big 12 team and kind of have a leadership role on this staff, I mean, that's a big honor for you.
Yeah, we're really fired up. I mean, the state of Florida is a great place to coach football. This is a great campus to coach ball at. There's a lot of good players in the area, and we're fired up to get to work. Now, we got a lot of work to do, and there's things that we're just getting started on because we just finished the recruiting cycle. But it's exciting. You got a pretty good buzz going here right now with the coaches and us getting to know each other and get to know these kids. The guys are working hard. Still, learning some names and that kind of thing. Got most of the offense down. Still trying to learn some of the defense and specialist guys. But it's exciting right now because there's a good buzz and it's a good people. That's really what it comes down to. There's good people around. We got a lot of work to do, but there's good people in the building, so we're going to figure it out.
Coach, last time that you were on a staff with Coach Frost, you worked your way up from offensive quality control to an offensive analyst. Now you rejoin him with offensive coordinator experience and all of that. What's the biggest difference between the Steve Cooper that last worked with Scott Frost versus the one we're looking at right now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, as a coach or just anybody in general in life, you're trying to get better every day, and that's the way we attack it. So every single day when we come into work, we're trying to find an edge, trying to find a way to get better. In this profession, it's generally people think of the X's and O's. That's the main thing. But it's a lot more than that, too. It's about the relationships and how you can do a better job of developing relationships with your players, the guys you work with. It's not always coaches. Sometimes that's recruiting people. Sometimes that's operation people. Sometimes that's people across campus. So I couldn't point out one thing, but one thing I know for sure is that's something I spent a lot of time on, just worrying about how to build better relationships. And I think that to answer your question kind of long-windedly, that's probably where I put the focus of my attention, is how to be the best communicator I can be, the best friend, the best teammate, best coworker. And when you do that, I think you get better every day.
Well, you got a chance to work with, Dirk Cutter at Boise State. Of course, they made the college football playoff as well. With that experience with a CFP-worthy team, what can that kind of bring now that you bring over to UCF from that?
Yeah, we had a special year last year at Boise State, and I got to be in that program with guys like Coach Cutter, Coach Danielson, the head coach there, both tremendous people, really good football coaches. So I learned a lot from that experience, and really what I said earlier, I just applied that every day, finding ways to get better. And when you're around really good coaches, you typically learn a lot, if you keep your ears open and you listen. And I think I did a good job of that last year, of taking some of the coaching points from the X's and O's, but even more importantly, just building relationships and figuring out, different ways to communicate with the players and communicate with other coaches.
I know Coach Frost said the offense will be a collaborative effort, with you and the staff. How would you describe your offensive philosophy? I imagine it aligns a lot with Frost, being that you two are so close, but just how would you describe what you want to do offensively?
Yeah, no, it's always, fun talking football with Coach Frost, because he's got a I mean, he put it on stage the last time he was head coach here, and really being the predominant figure in regards to game planning. But the cool thing about Coach Frost is it always comes down to a collaborative effort. Someone's got a good idea, we're going to find a way to implement that idea if it fits what we're doing. So like philosophically, it's from a coaching standpoint and organizing an offense, and for Coach Frost organizing the team, and just you think about a team that's over 150 people, all coaches included, figuring out a collaborative way to put it all together. So my philosophy, I'm going to lean on Coach Frost for that. He wants to play fast and he wants to play physical, but we also want to be very fundamental with what we're doing. We want to have base rules for guys to apply those rules and then be able to go attack. You're going to hear Coach Frost say a lot, attack, 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 and you're going to hear the same thing from the offensive staff. And one of my big jobs is to help manage that and make sure that we're getting done those things that Coach Frost really believes in.
Coach, you also are going to be holding the tight end coach role. I know that wasn't something that was announced upon your initial hire. So how did that kind of end up coming about, and what's it like being a tight ends coach again, since the last time you were one was 2010 at Portland State?
Yeah, that's good. No, organically, that's to answer your question, like how'd that come up? It just made sense with getting, so the first thing you want to do is get the right people in the building, right? And once you got the right people in the building, now let's figure out what seats they should be in, and I'm fired up to work with the tight ends. Like you said, 2010 was the last time I coached tight ends, and I got really lucky. There just happened to be a guy that hadn't played football since 8th grade, and he was a senior. This guy was a basketball player, and flash forward 9 months, he was with us. He gets drafted in the 4th round with the Denver Broncos. The guy's name's Julius Thomas. He ended up playing with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Miami Dolphins. He made 3 contracts in the NFL, and he's doing really well for himself. And that's a good example for these basketball guys that they all have hoop dreams and they think they're going to get drafted to go to the NBA, but a lot of those body types, the 6'5" and bigger basketball players, end up being pretty good tight ends too. So it was just 1 year, and I got lucky to work with a really good one. And the thing about Julius, not to make this about Julius, but the thing about him is you couldn't find the guy without a book in his hand. He's always reading, and what I took from that, he's always trying to find a way to get better. And in 9 months, the dude goes from being a basketball player, he's a really good basketball player, good hoop player, and you flash forward 9 months and he's getting drafted, and he end up playing with Peyton Manning and catching touchdowns for that guy and getting a chance to play a Super Bowl. So that was a cool story to see. And so when I think about coaching tight ends, I think of it fondly.
Kind of piggybacking on that, obviously you have a guy like Kylan Fox who was the basketball player. You also have a guy like Dylan Wade. You have a lot of other guys. What have you noticed from their skill sets, obviously, in the short time you've seen them?
We're just getting to know these guys. There's only certain things we can and can't do with them. What I'll tell you is these guys are working hard, and we're really fired up to get a chance to do spring practice and get around them a little bit more. It's been all positive.
So how does that kind of thing then impact how you want to bring tight ends now? I know you said you didn't want to make it about Julius, but what did coaching Julius kind of teach you about how you're going to want to coach tight ends here?
Well, listen, so 2010, I can't even remember how old I was. It must have been 23 years old. There was a lot of things about the game that I was learning, and I'm still learning today. I think that's the right mindset to have. But things I learned from Julius is sometimes it doesn't have to be that complicated. Let's figure out ways to simplify what we're doing so it makes sense to the players that we're coaching. A lot of times that's going to be an 18-year-old to a 22-year-old in college football. So really figuring out ways to simplify the game for someone that's coming from a different place. Listen, one of the big things that we talk about a lot is meet a player where you find him. Meet him where he's at. Don't try to overcomplicate it for a guy that is just pulling in first day on campus. Sometimes these kids that are coming in, they should really still be in high school. They're 17 years old sometimes. So figuring out a way to reach a guy, and some of that's going to be on a personal level and some of that's going to be on the field.
With your QB coach background from Boise State, what's it like to be working with someone like Mackenzie Milton, who's going to be holding the QB coach title, but of course he was a QB himself?
Yeah, well, KZ's great. Anytime you get an opportunity to work with really good quarterbacks, guys that played the position, Coach Frost being another one, is they have a different perspective in the game than other people and other coaches. So it's always good to get their insight on specific things that might not be in the playbook. But I think that's the biggest one. Anytime you're around a really good player, is whether it's a former player or current player, is just get good insight from them.
Well, best of luck in your first year, Coach.
Thank you.